don't even know how to put all this together because I want to hear your side and put the two stories together because it's kind of weird how we're here right now.
Yeah, it's weird.
Not on the mic, bro.
Hey, so feature number one, I'm covered in bubbly.
I love that just happened.
Don't throw it. Oh, gotta wait a minute.
Oh, good thing.
Thank you.
Like the last one.
Yeah.
Hold up. Cool. All right, so it's already recording. So it started recording from the get, like it right from the beginning. It was recording, so we're good. Whenever you want to start,
I think we should always start with like "What's up, everybody?" kind of intro.
Joe Rogan says, somebody's like, "Is this thing on? Are we ready? Is the audio good?"
Yeah.
So was Bubbly a sponsor? Is that what that was?
Yeah, we have our first. Yeah, I wish, but they are fantastic. Do you drink this stuff?
I don't know if I've ever had it.
Oh my god,
it's
okay.
good. Huh?
Yo, you know those that was too close. You know those ASMR videos where it just sound like.
Yeah, the bubbles in there.
But yeah, I think for this one here, we kind of start off with you introducing yourself to my people.
Okay.
And vice versa. Yo, is there any way, I know this might be weird and a little bit off topic, but is there any way for you to shift your camera, like spin it? Not that way, not like that. Is there a way for you to like
to go like this?
Yeah.
Why?
Are you using your computer?
Yeah, this is my Mac. What's up with
it? Yeah, no problem. It's just your door, bro. Your door.
That right there
drives me nuts. And the whole last video, I just see like, dude, it's not a straight line.
That's a closet. Oh yeah, because
yeah. All my lines are straight.
Tilted.
Oh, there we go.
But I'm not high enough.
All right, that's good, man. I'll put myself aside on this one. But yeah, man. So like, who are you?
Yeah.
What do you do? Kind of thing, like family stuff like that.
Cool. So I'm Houston Mooneyham. So I'm from the United States. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I've got a wife named Susan, and my son's name is Hunter, and he's 9 months old today. Actually, this is Monday when we're recording this. Yeah, man.
No way.
And I love Jesus. So I actually grew up in a Christian house, but I didn't get saved until I was 19. After I already graduated high school. So my freshman year of college, Jesus saved me then. And I knew at that point that nothing I had before was real because I wasn't passionate about the gospel. And so at 19 on, I just had this passion that really I just had to keep on going. And I love Jesus more than I ever did. But I'm an insurance agent, man. So I'm just a normal guy. You know what I mean? I just do normal stuff. I sell insurance. So nothing like too interesting for my career. But I've been a youth pastor in the past. I was a youth pastor back in 2013. Did that for about a year. And it was a huge blessing. I grew a lot from that. Say what?
Just a clarification.
Yeah.
When you say youth pastor, now do you mean so I don't know if it's different in Canada and the States, but in Canada we call it like a junior pastor or like a student pastor.
Student pastor, yeah.
But like a youth pastor, that would be more like someone who teaches the youth. So there you call a youth pastor, so it would be a student pastor kind of thing?
Yeah, it's interchangeable. We say both. So it was for junior high and high school. So like 6th through 12th grade.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. So, I did that for a year. The biggest thing I got from that is I was really super young and I had no idea what I was doing. So, I was like, man, one thing I got from doing this for sure is that I'm really young and I have a lot of growing to do. I think before I got into that, I thought I knew everything, especially when you grow up in church, you've heard all the Bible stories and then you get a passion for Jesus and you're like, oh, I'm called to be a pastor. So I'm going to roll with this. and it didn't work out that well. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to do. I was scared to death. So, but what about? So I want to hear about you, because even though I feel like man, I just want to say so much, but I don't know what to get into yet because we haven't even met in person yet, and nobody knows that.
That's a fact.
That's the crazy thing, because I was telling Susan, my wife, earlier today. I was like, man, I feel like I've known this dude for years. Like, we did that test run earlier, and I was like, we just vibed the whole time. Like, it was cool. Like, no awkward moments. It was funny. We had a good time. So I really don't know a lot of your story. Like, we've talked a little bit about different stuff. So if you introduce yourself, I'm sure I've got a few things that I could learn that I haven't heard you say already. So what's going
Yeah,
on?
man. There's actually I'm a pretty reserved person in regards to like the stories I get into and things like that. A lot of times I just don't want it to come from a wrong place, you know, like
Right. Yeah.
seeming like a pity thing or things like that.
Yeah.
But just before we continue, I was trying to figure out how to shut my volume off on my side, because when you come through, I'm wondering if your volume coming through will come into my mic and cause any type of weird stuff, but we'll roll with it. If it's any weird stuff, sorry
The
in
whole
advance.
episode's ruined.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Refilm on Tuesday night.
What's that?
Refilm on Tuesday night.
That's it. We'll go tomorrow. But no, yeah, so I'm born and raised in Canada, Welland, Ontario. Little tiny city. For anybody who knows it's not the greatest place to grow up. You obviously have your good side and your bad side. Growing up, I was kind of raised on the not so good side, so to say. My dad brought me into church when I was probably 5, 6 years old.
Okay, cool.
So it's always been something that's been foundational for me. But up until that, like, my dad left my mom when I was like 2 years old. My sister was 6. So it was kind of like, for me, it wasn't a big like impact kind of thing. I was just like, is what it is.
Yeah.
That's why I never wanted to die before my kids were like 5 or 6, you know,
Man.
like I just didn't want that, you know, because you don't really remember, you know.
Right.
But yeah, so it was like, to me, it wasn't like I never saw anything that I went through as like directly correlates to that. Obviously it did. Obviously a lot of things that I carried through my life were caused from those situations.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting older, you learn, you realize, oh, this is something that I carried from the past. I don't need to carry it, and
Yeah, for
move
sure.
on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like, growing up was kind of tough. I stuck in the church right from 6. Like, there were a few foundational people, like Frankie, I told you about him. But I was like 6 years old. He was probably like 16, 15, 16.
Right.
And he was given the task to teach me one line in a Christmas play. And it was like 4.5 words, like not even 5 words.
You butchered
And
it. You butchered
bro,
it.
yo, I didn't even, like, all these other kids are saying long lines, and all their people helping them are all happy and they're laughing. And this guy was losing his mind trying to teach me these 4 words. And I just kept messing around. So like from that point, we never hung out. Like, he and I kind of like separated based on
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
But then throughout it, it was like my pastor and my youth pastor, like the pastor who led the youth.
Okay, cool.
They were super impactful in my life, just like teaching values, teaching morals, things that didn't really exist where I came from, or if they did, they were just kind of like suppressed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just staying grounded with the right people was like absolutely the only reason I stuck through with like pursuing a relationship with God. And it was
Right.
like my dad bringing me to that was such a foundational moment that I'll always have that respect for him, you know,
Right.
regardless of if he falls away or if he stays, whatever it may be. There's always that, like, that grounded respect.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like at a young age, I was incorporated right into the church. They became my family.
That's cool.
Obviously, I had those falling away years where I actually ran away. That's like a Jonah story for you, bro. Ran away, and I didn't even know I was running at the time. Like,
What?
that's a Jonah story in
Like
itself.
ran away from home or ran away from God?
Like, ran away from God, not knowing I was running away from God.
Oh, okay.
So it was like a Jonah moment, but not really a Jonah moment.
Gotcha.
But
Okay. Okay.
that's a long one. So we'll get into that another day.
So maybe like a
Um,
prodigal son type scenario.
I would say not even. It's very unique situation because
Okay.
I didn't realize I was running until I had returned.
Man. Okay. That's
You know
crazy.
what I mean?
I've never heard any of. I haven't heard you share any of that before. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
you might have heard like snippets of it, like situations that may have occurred. Like I told you, I lived in Montreal.
Yeah, you told me that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is like part of it. Is like
Man.
part. Yeah, bro.
But yeah, I want to hear that. That's crazy. How old were you when you started running?
um, I was like 19,
Oh, bro.
18. Yeah.
So I was getting saved when you were running away.
Yeah. But yo, like that's one thing too, is like a common misunderstanding of what it actually means to follow Christ. You know what I mean? It's not like when I don't know if it was, I'm pretty sure it was you. I knew for today.
Not on the mic, bro.
Right. So blooper number one, I'm covered in bubbly.
I love that that just happened. Oh
Oh
my God,
man.
bro. That
Okay.
is definitely the teaser. That right there.
Yeah. Oh snap. And I have a terrible memory. So what was I just saying there?
uh oh my gosh, bro. You were saying that I was so distracted by that. You ran away. I asked you how old you were. Um
Yeah, I said 19.
I got saved when you started running.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like the idea of actually being saved. Um
Okay, yeah, let's
like
talk
it's
about
that was one thing that like growing up, I remember being at the front of the church talking with my pastor, like crying, like actually in tears. Bro, that haircut looks fresh. Yeah, you need to pop that out. Yo, what?
yeah, I can
Anyways,
hold my hair.
just a little side note there. um but yeah, no, I was like, I remember vividly him praying for me. And it seemed like every 2 or 3 weeks, I'd be up at the front and I'd be praying, like I'd be asking for him to pray that I wouldn't lose my salvation.
Mm,
And this was young, man. Like I was 9, ten
right.
years old, like
Yeah.
at the front. And that at that point, like my dad came with us probably a year and a half, 2 years. So at the age of 8, it was just my sister and I going. My mom never came
Mm,
because she did like the Catholic church stuff.
okay. Yeah.
But she no, it was just me and my sister. And at that age, I remember just being so young, and it's like you're constantly like I'm constantly looking for. I knew, even though I didn't know, like I wasn't really at the age of understanding what like true sin was.
Yeah.
There was still something in my heart that was like, I don't want to lose my salvation. Like, I don't want Jesus to abandon me. I don't want Jesus to, and it was like all of these things that, like, looking back at an older age, you can realize, oh, it's clear as day where all of that stems from, you
Right.
know? But it's like,
Do you
when
think
it,
that you were more scared of you running or and losing it that way, or Jesus just saying you're not good enough for me?
that's it. I think stepping back and realizing like that abandonment issues are real, and realizing like all these people say like, oh, you're a good father, and when your only experience of a father is like a distant one. Not to say like he wasn't abusive, he didn't do drugs, like he had his issues, but
Right.
to say that he was the worst father, you couldn't.
Right.
But to say that he was a perfect representation of Christ, you can't either. You can't say that about us either.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
For sure.
to see your dad striving for a relationship with you,
Hmm.
that right there shows you a pretty good picture of what it is that God wants from us. And it's like a lot of times my church was really sensitive to that. So they would always like, the pastor gravitated towards families that were broken and like kind of took the like the kids under his wing kind of thing.
That's cool.
So it was good in that sense. But yeah, at a very young age, I remember always like wanting to get that like not like that surety. And it was like leading back to what I was saying, it's like you have so many people that it's like, okay, I'll say this prayer, I'll repeat after this person, and then I'm saved and I'm good now. Like
Right.
I'm a Christian. And
Right.
so it's like you're living your whole life. But like you said, like, oh, so when I got saved, you started running, but it's like, who knows how long before that I was running, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
With
Yeah. Yeah.
without even knowing.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. Wow, man. I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about that.
Bro, neither did I. Oddly enough, right before this, I've never had that discussion.
Really?
Yeah, never. I've never had a discussion about any type of like abandonment or things like that. It's just things that I've come to realize
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've prayed through and I've worked through. Um,
Right.
but yeah, being able to like connect the dots, I think that's sweet.
See, mine is kind of the opposite of what yours was because so my parents are still together and by the grace of God, and they will be, until they die.
Yeah.
So divorce really isn't, I think, a big fear, especially for us kids when we were growing up. So I've got a brother and a sister. We didn't really think about divorce being, we didn't have to worry about that. And so my dad was actually a pastor when I was growing up. And so I was around that stuff all the time, talking about like being in church and the word and things like that. I remember for me, my dad actually, it used to drive me crazy, which looking back now, I'm so grateful for because it shaped me, it gave me that foundation that I needed to where when I was 19, when I didn't know where to go, my last resort was God has got to be real. Otherwise, I'm totally done in life. You know what I mean? So it was that foundation of my dad when I was growing up. He would actually highlight Bible verses and put my Bible wide open on my bed for when I got home from school
What?
in hopes that I would read. And it used to make me mad and I wouldn't read it. And this is in high school, I would actually shut my Bible and throw it under my nightstand and just hope that he wouldn't do it again the next day. It used to drive me crazy. And the reason why, honestly, is because I was always in church, all growing up. It was like, if we weren't at home, we were definitely at church. We were there probably 3, 4, 5 times a week.
That's sweet.
So yeah, 2, 3 services, events, birthday parties, all kinds of stuff. Always at the church, man.
That's
So growing up in that culture and then getting into the real world and seeing things differently for the first time when I was in high school, seeing how everybody else acted or going to my first party and things like that, and trying to fit in with that culture, it made me feel like, okay, I've known about all this Jesus stuff. Like, I want to try something else. And so for me, I started running because Jesus was all I knew. It's all I heard of. He's the only thing I heard of growing up and getting to that point when I was 19. But the problem is I just wanted to experience life for myself and not through the lens that my parents experienced their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I started running just because I wanted to do my own thing. That's what tells me that even though when I was 8, I got baptized, like, I'm for sure about this, that just because I had the foundation and I went to church, and I actually preached about this before, going to all the summer camps and doing the little Bible characters on the felt board in Sunday school and singing the camp songs, those don't actually save you. You know what I mean? Just like you were saying, that prayer, all these people coming up for just saying a prayer, oh, I'm good now, I'm saved.
Yeah.
It's not like that. You know what I mean? There's got to be a heart change. And so just because you say something with your mouth, if you don't believe it in your heart, the Bible
Mm.
says you got to do both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I ran when I was in high school, wanted to do everything my own way. And then finally, I'm a freshman in college and everything's falling apart around me. So The only thing,
He says with a smile on his face.
yeah, I say with a smile
By the
now.
grace of God. Yeah, seriously.
Back then, it was like, I mean, and everything's probably a bigger deal. You can make things a bigger deal when you're 18, 19 years old. But seriously, like I remember when I was 19, I remember looking into my future and saying to myself, I don't have a future. Um, I don't think I'm going to amount to anything. I was in college at the time and I was failing classes. I had no passion for anything. All I was doing was just going to parties all the time. And the
Really?
crazy thing is my parents didn't even know what I was doing. Um, which it kind of like, it's weird thinking about because of all the things that I was out all the time doing stuff that they didn't know. It just surprises me thinking back that they didn't even get, even just a thought in their mind. Like, I think Houston's doing something he shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. But
I
who
was,
knows? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Did this just cut out?
no,
Can you still hear me?
no, I can hear you.
You're good? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we're good. No, but I was genuinely scared. And I remember I was driving home from the gym when I was 19, and I wasn't really thinking about anything like that at the time. I was just driving home, just got a good workout in. I was feeling good, man. And I'm driving home, and I just started crying out of nowhere. And I mean, I'm a fairly sensitive guy, but crying just out of nowhere isn't something that I do. I'm not overly emotional. You know what I mean? So I start crying and I'm confused. I don't know why I'm crying. And it gets to the point where I'm just like sobbing in my truck and I have no idea why. And then I get angry and I start hitting the steering wheel, just punching the steering wheel, man. Yeah.
Come on.
And then I had this overwhelming feeling that my life is nothing and I need to call it to God. And at that point in my life, I didn't even really know if God existed. I had all that foundation, but never had the personal relationship with Jesus to that point.
Hmm.
So all of a sudden, I'm like, this is the only option that I've got. And so I remember just screaming. I was like, God, if you're real, change my life. And it was from that point on, something changed. Like, I didn't want to do the stuff I was doing before. I just wanted Jesus. I remember I was telling people, it was crazy. It was between semesters at college. So when the spring semester kicked back off, I went to school and I was carrying a Bible around with me. And people were looking at me like, dude, we were just partying 3 weeks ago. What the heck is going on with you?
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
I mean, God is super good. And I mean, since then, I mean, I think a lot of people when they get saved, and it's like a radical like type situation, like what mine was, like a
Mhm.
huge life turnaround. Especially being young and passionate, I think a lot of people are probably like, I'm called to be a pastor. I'm called to be in ministry. Which ministry, yes, we're all called to be in ministry of some sort. Um, but that fire and that burning hasn't left. There's been highs and lows where I've tried to run from different things, but it's like it's been a ball and chain where I can't get away from it. So I know that God's saving me and calling me. I'm so sure of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it sounds like our stories are opposite in a way. You know what I mean? But have
Oh
the
yeah.
same, but they have the same like driving point.
Yeah. Yeah. I find a lot, man, something happened to the mic. Something happened. Mic check.
Sounds good to me.
Does it? How about, see, it seems like it's crackling something, maybe. I
No,
don't know.
sounds good.
I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I fully take this out. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, perfect,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Still good.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll just cut that part out there. Don't need no headphones.
I love
But
when it,
yeah,
I love when it flips over to you, says Jenna.
I know we got to fix that, man. We people are going to be coming up to me in public like, Jenna, what's
Jenna, what's
up?
up, man?
No, not Jenna. but but yeah, no, I think that's sweet because I think that's really cool. A lot of people oftentimes, like, it's so easy. I just want to check something quick.
No, you're good.
Hello, 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 hello.
Sounds good.
Still good?
Yeah. Can you hear
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah. It's kind of like it's coming off as crackly a little bit.
Oh, really? No,
It's not over there. Okay,
mine sounds
might
good.
be my headphones, man. It's what happens when you plug $5 headphones into a $200 mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I think like a lot of times it's easy to look at somebody like for me, for example, the situation that I had
Mhm.
versus the situation that you had. You would look at, and I know myself for a long time I did. I don't know if it's going to be nice to get your perspective from it because it's easy for someone in a lower position or a seemingly lower position or however you want to say it to look at somebody who has the godly influence, has the married family. Like me and my wife, that's how it is. Like
Right.
there's no separating.
Right.
So my boys will have the story that you have to tell. But for somebody who's growing up in that, it's so easy to look at somebody and say, well, of course you have your stuff together. You had both parents. Like it's so easy to go there. But myself, luckily, I never did. I heard many people go there, people who had the similar upbringing. And my response was always the same because I was raised like I had like split lives. I was raised on McLaughlin Street in Welland. For anybody who's from Welland, they know what McLaughlin Street is.
Yeah.
And
That was.
like even the sound of it like has a
Can
ring
you
to it.
just give a shout out to your hood?
Yeah, just throw up some signs. I
Oh,
don't even know any. But no, like I growing up there, it was like I lived one life, and then growing up in the church, I lived another life, and not in the sense of
yeah.
like being different people, but more so like getting to see the life of families that normally these people don't get to see. And
Right.
for people who are listening to audio only, I pointed from one side to the other just so you know what's going on.
I know I've been trying not to
But
talk with my hands so much. That's what I always
oh,
do.
I'm French, man. It's all we do. But no, like it's nice to get like to be able to hear like because I was growing up in both sides, I was able to see like, oh, I just watched like say for example, um I don't want to like I don't want to name drop anybody. You know what I mean? Like and I can't say like this person's daughter because then it's like we know that person's daughter. So
Yeah.
it's like there have been people in my life in the church that have beautiful families, have such good morals and values,
Mhm.
but they still get to a point where they hit their own struggle, whether it's like you said like falling away because you feel like you have a relationship with God, but it doesn't feel right, and or that's all you've ever known.
Right.
Like for people who are living on the other side, they know all that other stuff. Whereas the people who are sheltered or things like that, if someone's sheltered from seeing negative things, that's only a positive in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it can create this sense of like this sense of want, like just experience. They just want to know what's out there.
Yeah. For sure.
And
Yeah.
and it's
What I always say is like it's not about you knowing Jesus. It's about Jesus knowing you. There's an intimacy that comes with that.
yeah.
And like if you look at and I'll say this really quick and you can finish what you're saying, but like I think it's in Amos chapter 1, I believe. Um it says that it's like God saying only Israel out of all the people in the earth, only Israel have I known, and it's an intimate type of love. And so yeah, God knows everybody on the earth, but he was intimate and he had chosen the Israelites, right, to be his people. And so for me, you can know, like anybody, you can know about Jesus,
Mhm.
but there has to be a salvific knowing in that where he also knows you in a salvific way, where you've actually been saved. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't have that prior
Mhm.
to that calling out and my life change. You know what I mean? I didn't
Yeah.
have that. So keep going.
No, that's perfect. Like I literally that sums it up beautifully. There are people who far often don't like they know the stories, they know the concept, but to be known by Jesus like that, it's beautiful. It's like, it's poetic, you
Yeah.
know? Like, it's just, but yeah, no, it's at the end of the day, it's like understanding that every single person struggles, you know what I mean? Regardless of what the struggle is,
Yeah.
they're going to deal with it however they deal with it. Um, but it's not about looking at somebody who's in a different situation. It's
Mhm.
like, there's a picture I saw once where there's a guy, well, how does it go? There's a guy riding a bike, and the guy, oh no, sorry, let's start that over.
Okay.
So there's a guy in a car, all right? He's looking at a guy in a Mercedes because he's like, I want that Mercedes. And then there's a guy riding a bike who's looking at the guy in the crappy car who's like, I just want a car. And then there's a guy sitting on the bench waiting for the bus, and he's like looking at the guy on the bike, and he's like, man, I wish I had a bike so I didn't have to wait for the bus. Then
Yeah.
there's a guy in a prison cell who's looking at the guy waiting for the bus who's like, I just want to be free. So it's like, it really doesn't matter how bad your situation is. There's someone looking at you, like honoring your situation,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So,
That's cool. Yeah, we can't really change the cards that we've been dealt in life. But I think that's what's the beauty in it. When Jesus saves anybody from any situation, no matter if if whoever views it up here or down here or whatever, it doesn't matter where it's at. There's beauty in Jesus saving everyone. And
mhm.
so it's easy to say, well, the cards that I was dealt in life, it puts me in a harder position to do this, do A, B, or C. Well, no, like there's beauty in every person's testimony, no matter where their starting point is. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah. That
So
was like somebody had mentioned once about, um, like, oh, if, like regarding the prosperity gospel, and saying like, oh, well, you're supposed to have everything. You're supposed to have like, God said you're going to have an amazing life. He has your story written for you.
right.
And it's like, yeah, but he also said that to people who were persecuted in his name. And
Yeah,
that was a perfect story. That was a perfect life for them.
absolutely.
So it's like, you can't just look at something and because you don't like it,
Yeah.
think that it's like, oh, no, this mustn't be.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you look at when Jesus heals the blind man, and the disciples said, "Why is this man? Why is he blind? Why was he born blind?" And Jesus, or they say, "Was it something that he did? Was it something his parents did?" And Jesus said, "Neither. He was born blind so that the glory of God would be displayed."
Mhm.
And so, even the worst situations in life, where this man had no sight from birth, I mean, that sucks. He'd
Yeah.
never seen anything. And Jesus' response was, so the glory of God could be displayed. So the miracles that Jesus works in salvation or whatever, whatever miracle he wants to work is beautiful, no matter how we view it. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so many times you'd hear someone say, yeah, but look, he ruined the first 30 years of that guy's life. And it's like, but you have to think bigger. You have to think like eternal.
oh yeah.
So now this man at 30 years old now gets to see until he's what, 300, because back in those days they lived that long. So
Right.
okay, so he gets another 230 years
Yeah.
or 70 years. Told you my math is off.
Right.
But at the end of it, based on that one moment in time, he then has an eternity with Christ. So it's like, being able to see bigger pictures is so
Absolutely.
crucial. So crucial.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how we got connected. Um,
All
I want to
right.
hear your perspective on it, and then I want to share mine because I feel like they're going to be completely different. And I've
Oh yeah.
only talked to Susan about this, and I was like, I don't even know how to put all this together because I want to hear your side and put the two stories together because it's kind of
Man.
weird how we're here right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird. And like, I thought by explaining it to someone it would make it less weird, but like their reaction did not. Like, I was like, you know what? He's not a catfish. And we're gonna move on.
Right? It's like, who the heck is this guy that you've been talking to? Do I need to be worried?
Yeah, man. So no, it's weird. It's super weird. I was literally um just woke up. One second. Hey Jenna, is this allowed to happen? Can you pass me a bubbly? Thanks, love you.
I'm gonna text my wife and see if she can bring me something to drink. I'm so thirsty. So thirsty.
She's like, you're gonna have to edit that part out. Nah, we go unedited. It's all right. but but yeah, it was super strange. We there was a point where um I was watching quite a bit of what's his name?
Todd.
Yeah, that's his name. Look at that. You read my mind. Can you bring it to me? You can't say that. That has to be edited out. Your other shot here. Don't throw it. Oh, gotta wait a minute.
Oh, good
All
thing.
right, thank you.
Like the last one.
Yeah. I've been throwing eggs at Jenna, by the way. I have to send you those videos. They're pretty bomb.
Okay, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, so I was listening to some Todd White. Yeah, the sponsor.
Man, that's good. Hey,
Bye, puppy.
Is that grape?
No. This is blackberry.
Oh, sweet.
Blackberry. Yeah, so so what happened was I started listening to Todd White. Then a few people had said, be careful because he's really big into the prosperity gospel. And another thing they said was don't he never talks about repentance. And I was like, that's strange because the one video I watched of his was only about repentance.
Ooh,
It was only about sin and like unrepentant sin and all of this stuff. And I was like,
wow.
yo, this, and like the way that Todd comes across is like super, super sensitive. Like the guy's heart is, you feel his heart, you know, like what's that?
Kind of like a Canadian, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Like I think he's Canadian to a degree. If not physically, then spiritually.
He's a spiritual Canadian.
That's a thing. We've established that. But no, there's it was just like I didn't expect that because that message was so powerful. Then I did some research and I found out like, oh no, he was like really big on avoiding that topic. Then somebody had brought it to his attention, and then from there he corrected his ways. And it's just so funny how God will line things up where it's like I didn't catch his 160 other videos that talked about, oh, God will give you what you want if you just believe you can do it, those type of messages.
Right, yeah.
But I caught the one that was like, it hit me right where I was at.
That's cool.
And it just like, it leveled me. And then there were a few other like just moments where it was like real, like not, I wouldn't say like the desires of my heart at that point hadn't changed, but I would say like my heart was softened. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, I felt like the clay had become soft. Like now at this point, the pot could be molded from it.
Yeah.
Like, so that stuff happened. I started watching that. And then a few days later, I get a text message from some random guy that I don't know. And he's like, hey man, I woke up this morning. I felt like God was telling me to stay off my phone. So I did. And then I just felt like God was putting your name on my heart. Just wanted to reach out, let you know I'm praying for you. And yeah, so I was like, yo, how does somebody just reach out? Like I've never met this guy. I see his stuff every now and then, scroll through my feed, but isn't a big deal.
I was probably pretty annoying.
I was like, I just don't get it. Like, why me? You know? So it was like in a moment where my heart had been softened and I was able to realize like Jenna, I'm not sure how many people she's told or if this is like something that she keeps to herself, or to her and her sister. But she was talking about like the importance of praying for your husband and taking that time, and like how it had been like years that she had been praying that I would find godly friends and godly influences. And it's like these things, and then all of a sudden this dude just messages me, and I had no intention on like building a friendship. Like, let's be real. I was just like, that's cool that you you felt God say something to you and you wanted to honor, like I honor that in you. So
Right.
like, let's see what happens, and so, yeah, that's what was up. It was just like a text message. And then from there, it was like a snowball.
That's crazy. So I'll go back a little bit because I came across your fitness page like probably 3 or 4 years ago. Were you
Okay.
doing it like 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a minute. I think
Yeah.
like 4 or
So
5 years.
yeah. So it's been a while back, and I'd liked your fitness page on Instagram or Facebook or something. I probably on Instagram first, then I went over and liked it on Facebook, and then I was like watching your vlogs and stuff. I'm like, this guy seems pretty cool, and I was like, I'm just gonna add him as a friend on Facebook and see if he accepts it. And you did, and nothing happened after that. I didn't even know we were friends the day that I messaged you, which was crazy because you know how the algorithms work on Facebook. Like you said, you would see my stuff from time to time. I saw your stuff never.
Really?
Yeah, like I never saw. So I forgot I even was friends with you, right? So the night before I messaged you, I watched a teaching from John Piper. I listened to it. I don't remember if it was a podcast or what. But John Piper was talking about how the first thing that most people do in the morning is grab their phone and see if they have any notifications. They jump over to Facebook, they get on Instagram, they reply to their text messages, and then they get up for the day. And so he was saying that instead of doing that, don't grab your phone first thing in the morning, but spend time with Jesus for a while, right?
Yeah.
And so I felt convicted the night before I messaged you. And so the next morning I woke up at maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, and I spent like 5 to 7 o'clock, didn't even look at my phone. Right.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm praying, I'm hanging out with God. I'm reading the word. And all of a sudden I feel like that time is up. And the weirdest thing, because I don't think ever God has said to me, get on Facebook ever. It's usually opposite, or delete Facebook.
Get off.
Yeah, right. Like, and so, but that morning, after that, like couple hours, I really felt heavily that God was wanting me to get onto Facebook, which is weird. And then the first status that came up, the first post that came up was yours. And bro, I wish I remember what you said. You said something about Jesus. And I'm reading your post, and all of a sudden I'm just like, I'm filled up with like overwhelming like emotions. Like, I need to talk to this dude now. It was like, because here's the thing, if I would have been on Facebook from 5 a.m. until 7 a.m. instead of spending that time with Jesus, I probably, when I logged onto Facebook, probably would have never seen your post.
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
algorithm would have been messed up somehow because I would just wouldn't have been on at that time because I was already on it for an hour and a half before that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fact that I was obedient, and not bragging about my obedience because it's definitely not perfect, but that morning it was. And then I feel like God is telling me that I need to get onto Facebook at that moment. I get on, you're the first post that I see, and then I feel overwhelmed, like I need to reach out. So that's what I did. I messaged you. And I remember I told my wife, I'm like, I just messaged this dude on Facebook. And last thing I knew, he was like doing this fitness page. And now it looks like he loves Jesus. And I don't know what's going on, but the Lord wants me to talk to this dude. So that's how it was from my perspective. And I didn't even know it was going to turn into anything. I thought I was just going to send you a message saying I'm praying for you, whatever. And then, bro, we have probably talked every single day since then.
Yeah, yeah. And that same time when all of that stuff started happening, it was like there were like, actually it was after you had messaged me, because do you remember the month it was?
It was during quarantine. I want to
Yeah,
say like
yeah.
April or June or something.
I knew it was before my anniversary in August.
Okay,
It
so it could have
was,
been July.
yeah, okay. So all of that started happening. The softening of the heart, contacted by you. You and I started talking heavy about for today.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and bro, I didn't even like, I had posted the lyrics for Devastator,
Mm,
and that song, it's fire, like it's good, but I started feeling like a little bit convicted about it and didn't know how to approach it.
okay.
I know that Maddie's heart is always for God. Like if there's a song that doesn't portray God, like I feel like no matter what is said through him, he's always trying to be sensitive to the spirit when he's writing.
Yeah.
And so I posted this video or the lyrics, and some people were saying like, oh well, like the song, it talks about like it almost makes it seem like it's me tearing down hell instead of like Christ. But
Mm,
there are clear lyrics that say like I will um
I'll be the one that will bring you down. Fear me.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then it goes on to say parts where it's like what as my it's slipping, but
Oh,
it talks about like my I'll be there worshiping as my savior tears your kingdom down.
yeah.
And so it's like my understanding was always like we do have the like there are going to be some of us fighting alongside Jesus, you know what I mean, like it's going to happen. So for him to be declaring that, it's almost like the people who are called to inevitably do that anyways, you
Mm,
know.
yeah.
um but all of that started happening. I started listening to all of Maddie's stuff, his messages, listening to um that what was that one guy's name? Piper.
Oh, John Piper.
Yeah, Piper.
Yeah.
I just started like consuming a lot of like, I always consumed content, but for me to be consuming the right content
Yeah.
just put my mind in such a different place. And like I remember going on our anniversary, and we're just driving in Niagara Falls, Canada. Um, and just
Is there
thought I'd
two
get that
sides
out there.
of the fall?
There's,
Is there two,
I got a what?
is there two sides of the fall?
Yeah, yeah,
There's the U.S. side and the Canadian side.
yeah. You
Yeah.
didn't know
Go to the U.S. side because you don't have a passport.
that?
You're stuck on the dark side.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to go there. No, no, we were in the falls, beautiful city, but it's like overrun by homelessness, like drug abuse, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, so we're driving, and a few things had happened leading up to this. Like there was a moment where I pulled over. I was like heavy into learning about like being completely obedient as opposed to just like an example. I my go-to with God was always worship. Like if
Right.
I felt like I needed to communicate with God, I would put on worship. And it's like if I'm reading my Bible, I would put on worship. And so it's always like there's always what I want.
Mm,
And so there was a day I was driving just before our anniversary, and we're like something financially had happened. And so I'm like, you know what, normally I'd get stressed out about it, but
yeah.
I'm gonna pull over and I'm gonna spend time with God. um, so I pulled over, got out of the car, get my phone out, open Spotify, and as soon as I open Spotify, I feel like I hear God say, nope, open your Bible.
Mm,
And so I'm like, okay, like I know what you're saying, sir, but I would like to kindly decline. But no, I was like, worship is my thing. But I just kept feeling pressed, like, don't listen to worship, go into your word. And the second I opened my Bible, the verse of the day was like, I'm not sure exactly where it is, but the one that talks about like just as the birds don't worry about what they're gonna eat, like
I
why
think
would
Matthew.
you?
Matthew maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I think it's all the Gospels, but yeah.
yeah, but it was just like such a moment where it's like, had I gone to Spotify, I wouldn't have heard what God wanted to say. And
Mm,
on top of that, I wouldn't have been obedient to what he was asking me. Like
right.
so many times we're like, yeah, but I'm spending time with God. It's like, but are you spending time the way he wants you to spend time with him?
That's
You know?
actually a really good point because I think the way that I consume most of the word in the past and something I'm working on is I literally just open up YouTube and go listen to a pastor, go listen to a sermon, go listen to a clip, go listen to a podcast. But and sometimes I use that to replace my alone time with God. You know, instead of praying and reading the Word, I'll do
Mhm.
that instead.
Yeah.
I don't think it's healthy.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I've been in the position where I'll go. There's this one YouTube channel called Bible Project or something like that. And basically, have you ever seen those things where someone will be like narrating while someone like draws? So it's
I
like
love
stick
those.
figures and all. Bro, so do I. I could watch those for days.
Bro, I'm
And
like
I'll. Oh, what's that,
that's how I learn. I'm like a child.
bro? I'm gonna send you a link. But I sent the link to the youth,
Mhm.
and I prefaced it by saying, this is not to replace your time with God. This is not to replace your Bible reading. Because like I find there are times where I'll do that too. I'm like, oh, I read it. Oh no, I didn't read it. I just watched it. But it's like a 8 to 15 minute video, and they'll take it and be like, okay, so this is the book. It's split up into 4 parts. The first part is from this chapter to this chapter, and they draw it all out. Bro, it's so beautiful. And
Yeah,
like I need to have like a context when I'm reading, or like I just won't retain it. So I found that helps so much, but it's sometimes easier to just be like, no, I read Hebrews 18 minutes. Like,
exactly. Yeah, for sure. I'm the same way, man. Um, so let's talk about the what's the word amalgamation. First, look up a definition on that and share it with everybody. Get your phone and look
no,
up the
I'm
definition.
not even going to do it. I'm going to let Siri do it. Hey,
There we go.
Siri, what's the definition?
Yes.
What's the definition of amalgamation?
Okay, I found this on the web for death. What's the definition of amalgamation? Check it out.
All right. So
If it's the
it
merging
says,
of two things, then you're a genius.
I spelled that right.
I don't know how to spell
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna take it to one further step.
that. Okay.
An amalgamation is a combination of two or more companies into a new entity.
Bro. Are
So
you
I don't think I
serious?
don't think I could have used a more perfect word.
And the origin of that word has to be Canadian because I've never heard that in my life.
Nah, man. Amalgamati is Latin.
Ooh.
Early 17th century from medieval Latin.
Okay. So
Amalgamare.
that's that lack of my college education catching up. Never heard that word before.
Yeah, man. There we go. Hey, you learn something new every day, right?
That was a perfect word. Okay, so
Bro, and you
stop
even
that
tried
up.
to call me out on it.
I
You even
know.
tried to, like, in the last one. I think I'm gonna clip it in right here, where it's
Dude,
just
perfect.
like, oh, that's Canadian.
Yeah, just put that in, dude. Yeah, man. I had never heard of that before. It's a cool word. We're gonna keep on using it. But yeah, let's talk about that though.
Yeah,
So,
bro. I think our first shirt should just say amalgamation
bro, that's kind of sick. It's kind
or
of like
amalgamate.
it's a very masculine word.
It is. I
Very
feel I feel
powerful.
stronger when I say it. Like I
Amalgamate.
might name my next son amalgamation.
It's kind of a sick name.
Amalgamatia. Oh my gosh.
Mm, mm. Or the podcast and all the digital and media stuff can be amalgamedia. Ooh.
Ooh, bro. Okay.
Ooh,
It's like the Kevin Hart, the Hart Entertainment. He made his own production.
yeah,
We have our own production company now.
that's it.
Holy man. We need to stop making companies. We need to stop No, we can't amalgamate all our companies or else we just have one
It's like
massive company.
15 under one umbrella.
Like, bro, eventually you're gonna have to branch out.
For real, man. So
No.
talk about your side, and I'll talk about my side, and let's talk about what we want to do together.
Cool. So my side was really basic, really simple. And it actually ties into something that I didn't know it tied into.
Keeps on getting better.
Bro, don't drink bubbly when doing a podcast. The
Not
burps are
good.
unreal, man.
Yeah, I just got to stick to the great value water.
The great value.
Mm.
They stopped giving out water at the church. Like, I understand it's COVID, but we still get thirsty, man. Like, what
Yeah.
is like no, not everyone. Like they like bring your own water. But like if you're like drumming or like playing guitar or something, you're
Yeah.
getting into it, the Holy Spirit's moving.
You need your water, man.
It's
You
a
got to
workout.
Bye.
But yeah, so SOTK Fitness, Sons of the King. It started off as a fitness company. Most people know that. But then from there we started looking into clothing. And we started looking into potentially doing like a clothing line for women as well, which would be Daughters of the King. And then we were like, oh, we could even branch to kids and like we never thought of doing like Daughters of the King under the umbrella of Sons of the King. It was
Mm.
kind of just like an idea, you know. So it had never fully launched to like Sons of the King and then subgenres. But yeah, so I did the personal training side of it for a long time. Sons of the King, I always just thought it was just like cool. Like to me, it had a good ring to it. It was perfectly fitting because it's like I am a son of a king, so it's like, why would I not want my company called that?
It sounds really metal too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it derives from there,
Yeah.
like medieval metal.
There you
But yeah, it was like it was good. There was actually in my youth group in my younger ages, I completely forgot about this. Jenna told me this like maybe a year ago. She reminded me of it, and she was like, "Do you remember those classes that Jerry and Laura used to do at our church?" And I was like, oh, those are called Sons of the King and Daughters of the King. And
Yep.
I was like, bro, in those classes, they taught so much about like values and morals and all these things. And like, I completely forgot that those classes were even called Sons of the King, you
That's
know?
crazy.
So like,
Talk about full
here I
circle.
am. What's that?
Talk about full circle.
Seriously, man. And like 10, 15 years later, like I'm not even thinking of it, but it's just like so deeply ingrained, you know? So no,
That's
it was just such a, like it was a leverage point for us. But then things actually went crazy. I've never told you this either.
this is going to shut down the amalgamation.
Oh.
You're being sued.
By Bubbly. But no, man, there was like a moment where I was doing good. Like I was bringing a fair amount of money in a month. I was able to like I was doing good. I had my own studio, things like that. Um, then some guy messages me from St. Catharines, and he's like, "Hey, I have too many clients. I can't take on any more clients. Can you come work out of my gym?" And so I started thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, well, I wouldn't have any overhead because I talked to him about it, and I was like, I'm only gonna like I want to have a set amount of how much I'm gonna pay you because I'm paying rent now. So if I come here and it's a benefit, for sure I'll come here and I'll train clients.
Right.
Obviously things happened where it's like I'm getting like 40% of what the client's being charged. I had 2 clients throughout like 3 months, have a family I'm supposed to feed, and I shut down my shop. That was my problem. I should have tried to maintain the two, but
Yeah.
instead I was like, I'm just going to close up shop and go there. terrible decision. But I made it. And then after having done everything, like he and we ended on decent terms. I feel like at this point I'm so far past any type of drama in my life. So I was just ended it on good terms. We did our own thing, but that's kind of where SOTK shut their doors down.
Man, how long ago was that? Like a year ago? 2 years ago?
A little bit ago, probably like maybe almost 3 years. Simeon was a baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was there at any point where you wanted, like, strongly, like you felt like you wanted to bring it back before we started talking?
No.
So we connected and you're like, SOTK back in full swing?
Bro, even when we connected, it wasn't even a thought.
Okay.
Nothing was ever a thought until, and you would at one point you had even mentioned how you had a clothing line.
Yeah, you just sidestepped that big time. I tried to flex a little bit and didn't even say anything about it. And so I had to bring it up like a month later. I'm just playing.
Yo, what? Wait, I'm lost, bro. I'm Canadian. What? I sidestepped what?
Oh, the first time I brought up mine.
Okay, I got it. I got you.
You didn't really say much about it, and I was trying to flex. I was like, "Yeah, I had a clothing line once."
Yeah, I got a clothing line, bro.
Yeah. And
just waiting.
So I had to bring.
No, yeah. Later. Well, I'm happy you did, because I don't know why. It just, like, for whatever reason, it was, I don't know. But as soon as we started, like, talking and like putting everything together, like how it's like, we're not there yet. I can't talk about that yet because you have to give your side, and then we talk about the Canadian word. Cool. But yeah, no, it was just like we actually were going to do a clothing line, funny enough, that had a representation, like biblical representation on it. So we were going to try, and what we wanted to do, our concept was like, the Bible says to get the word of God across the nation. So what better way to do it than to stamp it on a sweater and have some guy rocking it in Berlin, or like, so it was just a concept that we had. And it never went, and it was never like, oh, let's shut this down, I hate it. It was never on that. It was always like nothing just ever took off,
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me about Kingdom Wear. Oh, sorry, gave away the name.
Thanks a lot, man. So it's funny because I started back in 2018. For some reason, I got this weird itch to go on YouTube and start looking up Shopify stuff. And I was like, that'd be pretty sick to have my own little online business.
Bro, everybody looked into Shopify in 2018.
That's probably true. But for me, so when I was in in 2010, I went to a community college here in the Kansas City area, and I was studying graphic design. So I had like 2 years of, obviously there was like gen ed stuff, but I was doing like a lot of graphic stuff, like art classes and whatnot. And after I graduated, I'm like, man, I really want to do something with this, but I didn't know what to do. I was designing sites for a while, making logos for like sports teams and companies and stuff like that. But in 2018, I was like, man, it would be so sick if I had a clothing line or something. So conveniently enough, the Kansas City Chiefs in 2018 were finally, like, it looked like they were going to go to the Super Bowl. They didn't, but it looked like they were going to, right? So everybody's hyped. We've got Patrick Mahomes. You know who Patrick Mahomes is.
Yeah, man, obviously. Totally.
You're a hockey guy. You probably have no idea who he is.
I'm not a hockey guy. I'm a nothing guy. I don't know any sports. I'm sorry.
So do you
look him up tonight?
Do you watch the NFL?
Truthful answer, or just to like flex a bit?
Truthful.
No, not at all. I don't even know how to spell it.
ENEFEL. Bro, that's crazy. So you don't watch any football at all, huh?
No, only if someone else is and I'm in their house.
Really?
It's like, yeah, no.
Dude, it's the best sport on the planet. There's
Bro,
nothing.
I'm not saying like that's one thing I learned how to clarify. It's not that I don't like sports, it's I don't follow sports.
Okay.
I love sports.
Fair
I'll
enough.
play them all, but
Yeah.
can't
I see you
follow
like
it.
playing basketball with your son and stuff outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm active. I'm an athlete.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs, we drafted Patrick Mahomes like in 2016 or 17 or something. He sat on the bench. 2018, he starts, right? It's his first season, and the Chiefs were hot, like hot. And so right before the playoffs start, I'm like, man, I think we might go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to take advantage of this. I'm going to start a Shopify store. And I started I made a brand called Kingdom Wear, right? Well, the thing with the Chiefs is it's Chiefs Kingdom, right? That's kind of our thing. Like I don't know really what to call that. The Kingdom, it's kind of like a slogan type thing.
Okay.
But like Chiefs Kingdom is like the fan base, the home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to make this company. It's going to be called Kingdom Wear. So it's KNGDOM or KNGDM Wear, right? So I make this company. I start making all these different designs and stuff for shirts, and it actually takes off. And I do pretty darn well. And I was shocked. Like I was just doing it to kind of mess around. And it's cool because on Shopify, you can see who's shopping your store, where at in the United States. I had people jumping on from like Illinois and California and Texas and Florida. And I'm like, what? Just with a couple sponsored posts? This is nuts. And I was like, man, this is pretty sick. Well, what happened is the Chiefs actually ended up losing the AFC Championship game. And I'm like,
and you had to give everyone their money back.
Heck no, man. I cashed in. So I made a little money doing that, but I shut the store down because I'm like, I'm not going to do it during the off season. Who's going to buy Chiefs stuff? You know what I mean? So then I was like, maybe I'll do Kansas City Royals stuff. It's our Major League Baseball team. And I was like, nah, because I don't really watch baseball. I don't keep up with it too much. So I just shut the store down. But since I shut that down, it would have been probably right at the end of December in 2018. I just really felt, I'm like, man, it's called Kingdom Wear. I can do something with this. So all 2019, I sit on the name, and I'm like, man, I could really do something with this. I start making some designs for shirts, but never do anything, right? I closed down the Facebook page, closed everything down, closed the Shopify store, but I really felt like I needed to do something with it. And honestly, whenever we connected, it wasn't really a thought on my mind other than, maybe someday in the future. But then all of a sudden you start getting this interest in bringing like SOTK back. And I'm like, bro, or you started talking about it. And I'm like, bro, I used to do that. It was
Flex number 2.
yeah, this was the second time I had brought it up. I was like, man, I used to have a clothing line, and it was Kingdom Wear. We should like put the two together. I don't remember how it happened, but like, I don't know, within the last few, like maybe a month, we're just like, let's put the two together. Maybe it's been less the time than that.
I think like maybe it's been the weeks. Definitely hasn't hit a month yet.
Like 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
So this is like brand new for both of us, but we feel honestly, like, I don't want to speak for you, but for me, I honestly feel like this is like definitely divinely inspired.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like our friendship, I don't feel like it's just a friendship where we're just like, hey, praying for you, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, I believe God led us together to do something.
Yeah, that sounded so Canadian.
For real? Did I say it like a question?
Yeah. Yeah, we're bad for that.
Eh? Yeah. So we decided we're just going to send it.
Just going to send it, bud. Yeah. No, but yeah, I definitely, I feel like there's so much, like there's something deeper, like there's something on a spiritual side that I can't see. And it's always one of those things, like once you get from point A to point C, say for example, you can then see why you went through the stage of B.
Okay.
That was like, yeah, I'm going to make a rap about that later.
That was pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. Do something with that. That's beautiful.
But as you get through it, once you get to your C point, you can then verify and realize where God stepped in throughout those moments. And so I find like, even as I go like with the clothing line and the podcast, like, so I start the YouTube channel that I have, it was always about fitness. Then I felt like God was convicting me of not posting content that didn't glorify him.
Mm.
So with that, I started focusing more of my podcast content, like my old podcast, the one that I used to do on Anchor. It was like all of everything I was doing needed to glorify God. Everything I was doing, in order for it to be successful, needed to be God centered.
Right.
And so like with all of these things, whether it's our podcast or the clothing line or whatever else comes of it, I feel like as long as the main focus remains God being the center of each company or each idea,
Yeah.
that there will be success in it. But again, not for, oh, this guy made this much money off this many shirts, but more so like, this guy's reaching people across the world for God's glory, and the only glory that comes of it is for God. You know what I mean?
Right. Let me clear my side up then.
Take a little drink.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to clear up. So whenever I did Kingdom Wear for the Chief stuff, it was about making money. Like I thought it was sick. Like I was making money, and I wasn't like, it would be like 1:00 in the morning and my phone would go cha-ching and I was making money. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
But after I closed that down and I felt like, I could do something with Kingdom Wear, something that's more meaningful, other than just like a hype page to sell some clothes when the Chiefs are in the playoffs and the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
I was like, I could really make a difference with, like, because I've always been drawn to the arts. Like I'm like a creative, like I've got a creative mind. I'm a dreamer. I've got a creative mind. And I've always wanted to make a difference in the kingdom in that way, but never really knew what to do, And so, I mean, I've had ideas like, I want to do a podcast. I want to like do different stuff, but I never did anything with it, just out of fear, probably. Like, probably wouldn't be that good because I don't know what I'm doing yet. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, whenever I think of Kingdom Wear and Kingdom Wear with the SOTK mashup, I think like I really believe that we're going to make a difference. And I think these podcasts, I think we're going to be putting out some content that people want to hear and people enjoy listening to. And that's not an arrogant thing. I just think that authenticity, and when we talk back and forth, I think the coolest thing is we've never met in person, but people are going to see this connection and be like, these dudes are like so close. Like, it's crazy. But also, yeah, like you're saying, like making a difference because like I don't have any tattoos. I don't have like, I don't have a platform where I talk to a bunch of people. When I say I don't have tattoos and stuff, like I don't have scriptures on my arm and stuff like that. But what if we could put Jesus on t-shirts, you know what I mean? And every Christian clothing line has said that, to share the gospel just on t-shirts. But I think with our creative minds, I think we can do something different. You know what I mean? For the kingdom, maybe something that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not for like a new business venture or anything like that, but out of the sincerity of actually being passionate about the gospel and seeing people saved. And whether it's conversation starters or just like stuff that, I don't know, just people that it draws their attention and it brings glory to Jesus. I think that's the most important thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think a big thing is like one time I heard somebody talking about God blessing people who are financially responsible with finances. So it's like having, like, God knows who he can give money to, like, or blessed with finances, and have them distribute it properly to those who need it. Or like, there's one person that comes to mind, and they receive money, and they have a certain amount that comes in every month, but that money, they felt God telling them to just give it to somebody else. And so every month they just give that money to that person.
Yeah.
And so it's like, those people are the ones that are supposed to be manning that. And now, if there's something that's supposed to come creatively for the kingdom through, whether it be the podcast, or whether it be somebody wearing a sweater that was created through one of these companies, and somebody else seeing it and coming to Christ through it, like, it does it. Like, if there are two people who will never meet, because God knows I am not getting a passport and traveling to your place.
It would be the best decision you've ever made.
Yo, think about it. Maybe on, like, when we hit 1 million subscribers or something, I'll fly out there. But no, not really. I can't do it, man. But think about it. It's like two people who will never meet, but through obedience, through you being obedient to reach out and communicate and build that relationship, now God can move how he wants to, knowing that when he asks us to move, we'll move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's almost like God taking a step in faith in us to believe that, like, it's like we can do whatever. And like, that's the thing. I don't really even necessarily know what it is that's so great that's going to come of this. And I think that's why it's kind of interesting to me, is just like the mystery behind all of it. But then, as I don't do anything, and see things fall into place so beautifully, it's like, I couldn't have done that. Like, if I tried, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Right. Like,
Honestly,
it's, and I've said this, we've already said this a couple of times. It's weird. It's really weird that we're right here doing this right now.
Yeah.
I would have never done a podcast with anyone that I haven't met. Seriously, like, that's weird.
Oh, bro, it sounds weird when you say that. Like, the more you say it, I'm like, yo, this is weird.
It's really weird. Like, we've never even given a high five, and we're doing a podcast together. You know what I mean? So I think that's been, this is just, it's a huge blessing, I think, for you and I to be able to connect and do this together, and amalgamate the two brands.
Beautifully said.
I know, it felt good. It felt good rolling off the tongue. But I think that, God, our main goal is to glorify God. And I think we're going to be able to reach a lot of people doing this. And it's not a numbers game. It's not this feels cool. It's not a pride game. It's just about, like, we just want to serve Christ in every area of our life. And we feel very strongly that this is what he's calling us to do right now with our time,
Yeah. And the biggest piece being right now. Like, it's so often I hear things, or other people hear things, and it's like the procrastination portion is such a killer.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, I definitely feel like it's like you said, it's not a pride thing. It's literally, like, think about it. If we were to call and chat, we FaceTime each other or whatever. We've never called each other. We've never FaceTimed each other. We've literally only Snapchatted.
Snapchat, text.
That other thing, that's like text, Signal or whatever.
Don't say it.
I'm just kidding. I was like, no, we have to restart.
No, it's all good. No, yeah, it's crazy.
But yeah, no, it's like, if you think about it, if you have conversation with somebody who there's one guy, I think I might try to get him on here, just because his story is incredible. Like, he's from Africa, but he's from Nigeria, and he told me his dad's story, and his dad's story is phenomenal. But like, I'll have conversations with him, and it's just like back and forth and interesting. Like, if I was an outside person listening, I would be interested in it. And I'm not saying that because I'm one of the people. It's just because the conversation is genuinely interesting.
Right.
So I feel that way a lot of times with us, like, and again, it's not tooting your own horn. Is that a Canadian saying?
No, that's American
No?
too.
Okay.
We say
Not okay. Yeah, two. Don't say that's American. As I'm made in America. No, but I think it's see, I lose my train of thought so quickly.
tooting your own horn about like conversations that are.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's not even about like, oh, it's me or it's you. It's literally just conversation that comes up,
Yeah.
regardless if it's like, and like I I'm assuming that at some point we're gonna be like pre-planning. Like this one was kind of pre-planned. Not obviously not structured to a point where you lose authenticity, but you have ideas that you want to talk about, and that's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Um but I find that um you see how bad my memory is, man?
Yeah, you need to take like
What
a
can I take?
tropic or something. Get your
Tropic?
yeah.
This is nuts.
Yeah.
Forget what I was saying.
It's okay.
But yeah. So not to toot our own horn, man. I'm going to take like whatever you just said, 6 of them.
Yeah,
Holy. But yeah. So it's like, in all reality, it's not about pride. It's not about thinking I have anything better to say than anybody else. It's just knowing that when I communicate with you, there are often times where I'm like, oh man, I wish that situation that we talked about, someone else could have heard it.
for sure.
Or somebody I know is struggling with something, and you and I will have a conversation about something that touches so perfectly on what that person's dealing with, but they can't hear it said the way it was said,
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, kind of like trying to like capture those moments, and not for myself or for you, but for the person who needs it,
Yeah, absolutely. So so two things on the podcast. There's going to be content. It's just going to be us going back and forth. Sometimes we're going to have guests, I'm sure. I think that's something we haven't really discussed that, but I think that's important too. So it's not just us going back and forth every Friday,
Yeah.
And then also like things that are going on in culture. We're going to talk about things going on in culture, how it relates to scripture, how it relates to the Bible or Jesus, and then like current events, stuff like that. Talking about the brand, the merch, stuff like that. And then also like getting into the word with each other, like not necessarily like sitting down and having a Bible study and just recording the Bible study.
Which I'm not against, but
I'm not against that either.
we'll do segments. That'll be a segment.
Yeah. Probably not a like
segment.
we've been recording for like an hour and a half. So I don't know if we do an hour and a half Bible study over Zoom. But we could do something short, you know what I mean? Like,
but yeah, even just like you said, to hop in the Bible is one thing. To do a full-on 2-hour Bible study, that's the thing, but it's a different thing,
Yeah. So, and then the merch. So we've talked about this a little bit, and maybe I shouldn't even bring it up yet, but I think like merch drops, just different like seasons of drops. So
I think that's one unique thing as well, with the whole idea behind the drops. The unique, I don't know if we're releasing that yet, so I'm just trying to keep it code, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That whole idea is like, I've never seen a Christian company do that before.
Mm-hmm. No,
I've seen 2 other companies do it before.
Yeah, 2, and we won't say who.
No.
Well,
we won't say that one's from Canada.
Yeah, one of them's Canada. Yeah, and their stuff is pretty dope.
Yeah,
I wouldn't wear it.
No.
But it's they've got good designers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and you could tell the material is amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You look at it and you could tell that it's comfy.
Right. And I think that's something that we want to do also. We want to make we don't want to just come up with t-shirts that looks like everybody else's. We want good materials, good designs, something that stands out where you wear it in public and everybody's like, what the heck? Where'd you get that thing? I've never seen anything like that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there's a lot that we're kind of tiptoeing around just because I don't want to let all the secrets out yet. This was supposed to be just an intro video, and I'm afraid.
Yeah, we're like, yo, like, let's try to get at least 30 minutes.
Yeah. And now it's like exactly an hour and a half, I think, or just a little bit under. But
Man.
and I'm cool with that. I don't want to give them too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I think we do like what's that one TV show? ER or OR 24. Those are very different, but I know it was two things. Where just like the season finale ended just like black screen.
Yeah.
Let's just black screen them
Right
now. Peace. No, we can't do that. First episode, they're like, I'm never watching another one again.
That'd be pretty messed up. We got to give something to look forward to. I mean, the cliffhanger is maybe a little bit, but so this episode will be out on Friday. So when everybody's listening to this, it'll be Friday. Most people are first going to listen to it or watch it on Facebook, probably on our page, SOTK Podcast. We haven't talked much about the platforms it'll be released on, but I'd like to get on to every podcast outlet. So whether you've got Apple Music or Spotify or not Apple Music, but just the podcast app or Apple Music or anything like that. YouTube, this will definitely be on YouTube and Facebook. So I don't know, man. And then merch, there'll be announcements coming soon on that. Definitely not within probably the next week, but pretty darn soon for sure.
Pretty darn soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, man. Honestly, like I think that's the best thing to do. Let it play out authentically. I feel like that's the biggest feel I'm getting from all of this is just authenticity.
Yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's one thing too. I think I'm gonna stick with the channel I have now just has subscribers that are interested in fitness. So they may not be interested in this stuff, but regardless, they're gonna hear it.
That's right, they are.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. If you made it this far and you're watching on the fitness channel, buckle up. You're about
you
to
love Jesus. Not yet. You about to. No, but yeah, subscribe, like, comment, all of that fun stuff. Share the content.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing too. Like we said, you never know who's dealing with what. We're also going to try to clip them up too. Get little clips of, like, if you touch on something that's super funny, I'm going to clip that out. You mess up your words or drop your pop can, I'm going to use that.
Dude,
yeah.
That content is gold. That's going up tonight.
No, that's going to be on loop.
I'm putting that up tonight. Yeah, just on loop. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So I think that pretty much sums everything up.
I got nothing else. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing this. I believe God's doing something really big in all of this between us, and then this is going to grow, not just between us, but it's going to spread to a lot of people. And like you said, authenticity, I think that God's working through us. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what this turns into.
Yeah, man. Me too. So we'll catch you guys on the next one.
See ya.